Hello, welcome to DIY Life. Today we're visiting an old Sea Shepherd ship called the Steve Irwin, now in the possession of a woman called Kerrie, with her organisation called Ship for Good. She has asked me to come along and see if we can get the main engines running. There's her dog Addie. I did serve on this ship for two Antarctic campaigns, and the ship, I believe, has done about 9 Antarctic campaigns defending whales from the Japanese whaling fleet. So I'm just jumped on the ship. The first things first, I've just got to go up to the funnel and remove the exhaust covers for the main engines. The ones for the generators are already removed because the guys, Ashley and Bill, have already ran the generators before, but we just want to get the main engines running today. So it's very exciting because I have been on this ship a couple of times and a lot of time, and we didn't think this ship would ever be used again. So it's great that Kerrie's gotten hold of the ship, because the ship was going to scrap in, I think it was 2018. So hopefully breathing new life into her and doing some good. I was super excited to hear that sound again after so many years. Probably about 6 years for me. Just going to test this console alarm. Cool. So here I'm having a look at the jacket water header tanks for the port and starboard main engines. That's like the radiator coolant in your car, and these are the header tanks. So these valves were closed. I'm just opening them up, just checking the coolant level in the tank, that it doesn't drop too much, to indicate that there would be some air in the system in the main engine. You will notice there's different volumes of different sounds from the video, so bear with me, as you might be able to hear my voiceover perfectly with the sound balance, but we'll see how we go. Happy with the header tank, so now I'm just having a look down the engine room. This is the view I first saw when I joined the ship, and it's just magnificent. So here I'm just having a look at the fuel system. I turn the fuel valve on. I just want to see if we've still got fuel in the fuel filters. I just want to bleed some air out of the top of them, if there's any air in them. They look pretty good. All of the air just floats to the top, so that's why the air bleeders are at the top. So I'm just checking each main engine here. They were all full, it was all good. I then have a look, see that pipe there in the big pipe there, that's the fuel rail, which supplies all of the unit injectors. The injection pump's a single injection pump on each unit, on each cylinder, and that's actuated by a camshaft. So that fuel rail needs to be full, so I'm just checking that now. It looks good. Spilling fuel everywhere, but it's got to be done. Just want to do these final checks before we attempt to start it up. The sound that you hear in the background, that faint sound with a few pops and things, that is the main air compressor pumping up the start air pressure to around about 240 to 300 psi. These engines do not have a starter motor like a regular car or a truck would. Most engines in cars and trucks are electric starter motors, and then on the bigger engines you can have pneumatic or air starter motors. There's actually air starter motors on the generators, but for these engines they use what is called start air valves. So there's a distributor that distributes with the correct timing start air pressure to each cylinder, and it injects it at the correct point, so it pushes the piston down to rotate the engine. We'll have a look at that later. I'll speak about that later because we have a few issues coming up. In this next scene, you'll hear the lube oil priming pumps running, and what you've got to do is rotate the engine one full turn with a ratchet, a hand ratchet, which you push down 120 times. We've already done that, so I'm just opening the main air start valve. I'm going to try and blow the engine over, and that didn't work. So after you rotate the engine on the ratchet one full turn to get the oil around everywhere, you do what is called blowing the engine over. There's indicator cocks on each of the cylinders which are open fully to atmosphere. This allows anything on top of the piston when it rotates, when you blow it over, which rotates the engine, to push any foreign objects or material like water that could be sitting on top of the piston. This can happen with cracked heads or bad head gaskets. On big marine engines, it is quite common to have these failures, especially when you've got 12 cylinders on each main engine. There's two of these main engines on the ship. We actually blow it over to observe the air coming out of the indicator cocks and see if there's any water mist or shooting water out, which we've actually had before we went to Antarctica. First time I went, it actually did that before we left, so we had to change the entire cylinder head. So that's what we're attempting to do here. I'm thinking that because this port main engine is a bit temperamental, you've got to get it in the correct position for it to blow over. So I was just explaining that to the guys here. But what I'm thinking, I'm slowly accessing the memory of this ship in my head, and we're talking about Ashley was talking about the main air start valve, the master valve, and it's tickling my brain, and I'm remembering that the master valve needed to be manually depressed for the engine to rotate. So we ended up blowing the engine over, and in the next scene you're going to see us attempt to start it, because we're very excited that we were able to get the engine to blow over. Everything out of the indicator cocks was clear, so I'm going to try for the first start up in 5 years, so let's see how that goes. So as you can see, it's been a major success. We've had the engine fire up, and now just balancing what I'm doing with my hands there, balancing the hand throttle and waiting for the governor to fill up with oil to take the reins for the RPM of the engine. If I were to move my hands to the right on that lever, we're also checking oil pressure up there, the most important thing, turning the manual priming pump off, the electric one. So I'm balancing the RPM so it doesn't overrun, overspeed. I'm just pointing to the governor oil level there. And once the governor fills up, it takes the reins of the RPM. So now I can take my hands off the lever, just explaining that to the guys. And then it'll idle on itself, and we can check all of the oil pressure, check for any leaks, and just revel in the bliss that we were able to start up one of the main engines. Feels really, really bloody good actually. Now that we've had the success with the port main engine, we're just shutting it down. I'm going to try for the starboard engine startup. You may have noticed I am wearing Sea Shepherd gear. It just didn't feel right going onto the Steve Irwin after so many campaigns, so much time spent on that ship with wonderful people, some of which who are no longer with us. It just felt like a connection that I needed to have to go back on the ship the first time after so long. So it didn't actually rotate when we tried it then to fire it up, so I'm just getting the ratchet and manually barring the engine over to try and get it into the sweet spot position so it will actually rotate. We already blew it over off camera, so it's all ready to start up, and we're going to just keep going and trying, see how we go. The massive thing behind my head, the red and white thing, is the big turbo. One of two turbos on each of the British Polar V12 diesel engines. There's two of them on board. That's a total of 24 cylinders, so it's a lot of work to maintain these engines. We'll have another go. So it did actually rotate, but it was a false start. It didn't actually fire. I ended up trying again, but it didn't rotate. So I think I've got to put the ratchet in and bar it over. Then I think, nah, I'm going to have another try. I'll see what happens. So the starboard engine was a bit funny. It chugged and chugged and chugged like I think I can train trying to go up the hill, which is pretty cool. But major success. Again, balancing the governor here. Just beaming because it's running. Checking the oil pressure again and just taking note, checking the RPM, and just showing Ashley again the governor and how you've got to balance it up in. And this is looking good. So after the major success of the initial startups, which you've just seen, we did run both engines together, and then I went up to inspect the stack.
Oh, she's clear. Damn. Not even any smoke. Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive, man. Gotta check out the stacks, mate.
It felt so primal to hear the big drones of the exhaust and the main engine, so it just got me all fired up, just inspecting the exhaust fumes. And one of them is actually a bit smoky, a bit oily, but pretty happy with it all around.
Right. That's lit.
So now we're just going to re-enter the engine room while the main engines are running. At the entry here, I'll just have a look at the jacket water header tanks. Going to check the levels not dropping at all, so we know they're not consuming any of the jacket water. I'm just going to head down into the engine control room, re-familiarize myself with it, and check the temps and pressures of the main engine.
Old times. Fresh main engine, fresh water, jacket water, pressure's good. Yeah. Starboard jacket water, lube oil pressure's good. Both lube oil pressure's good. It's excellent.
So here what I'm trying to do is control the RPM of the engines from the engine control room. This lever acts on the control air pressure. I didn't have the selector set on the engine control room, plus I didn't have the valves for the control air open to the governor, so it was never going to work this time, but we'll check in the future. So here now we're just looking at the different sections of the main engine, just having a look in the fuel oil header tank. Supplies the main engines with fuel. That's all looking good. And we're just going to head down and have a look at the different systems on the main engine. We're going to have a look for any oil leaks, any fuel leaks, any jacket water leaks, coolant leaks, and showing the guys different spots in the engine with different gauges and things like that. We haven't actually commissioned the seawater system this time. It's quite a bit of work. So we can only run the main engines for a short period, but a period long enough that we can get a bit of intuition, get a bit of information of the different vibrations, sounds, and visual aspects of how the condition of the engine is running after 5 years of laying dormant. So here I'm just going to remove the rocker cover to check the oil supply to the rockers. The rockers are opening and closing the inlet and exhaust valves, and you can also see the high pressure fuel line there, which is coming from the unit injection pump up to the injector, and you might be able to hear the subtle sound difference when it's injecting the fuel. Just there, you should have heard it. So now we're still observing the oil pressure supply to the rockers. It all looks good. In the last check, we're just going to open the indicator cock, vent some combustion gases, and you can actually put a peak pressure gauge on this and measure the peak pressure at different loading scenarios. That can give you the indication of the health of the engine. Just gingerly putting the rocker cover back on. It's all looking pretty good here. Now just inspecting the turbo oil level. Have a look at the governors, the governor oil level. Checking for any oil leaks down into the bilge, off the rear main oil seal, or anything like that. And now just placing my hands on different parts of the cylinder head, just to feel the different temperatures of each of the cylinder heads. That can indicate a different bit of a problem here or there. Just have a look around for more oil leaks. And then we kind of discuss that because the seawater cooling system isn't activated, isn't commissioned, they're running dry, so we're probably going to damage the seals. We probably should shut down the main engine. So we just decide it's all good, we'll shut down, we're happy with the test. Yeah, the problem running the engine without the seawater in the cooling system is a main engine driven seawater cooling pump, which is running dry. We don't want to damage that seal. So it's all looking good though, so very happy with how it's going.
Just like that, yeah. Just like that, yeah. Damn, that feels good.
Thanks for joining me on this video. Kerrie has spoken about wanting to use this vessel for more ocean conservation. Now that the main engines are running, we can come back and try and recommission the seawater system, clutch in the main engines to spin the propeller shaft and give the ship more hope that it can do some more conservation work, removing ghost nets and the like. So we'll see how it goes. We'll do another video. If you've liked this content, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.